What's up guys, welcome to another video. So I'm currently studying for my pen test plus. I just got done reading this book. I've gone through the first series of video training. I've done some labs and I'm just starting the second series of video training. I'm learning a lot of stuff, a lot of things, a lot of new things that I'm learning right now, and I need to start building an environment where I can start testing some of this concept. And that is what this video is going to be all about today. We're going to talk about how to set up Metasploitable 2 on Proxmox. If you're new here, I try to do videos like this as often as I can, so make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit the thumbs up button if you enjoyed the video. With that being said, let's get started. So before we get started, what is Metasploitable? Metasploitable is an intentionally vulnerable VM that can be used to conduct security training, practice ethical hacking, and much more. It's a test environment that provides a secure place to perform penetration testing and security research. And this is something I need because I'm going to be doing a lot of practice, right? So I need to be able to build an environment where I can freely test a lot of the concept that I'm learning in this book, but also in different places as well. So this video is divided into several parts, so feel free to jump to the section that interests you. There's a write-up on my website as well, so feel free to check that out if you want to. With that being said, let's get started. Okay guys, so let's go ahead and get started. Like I said earlier, this video is divided into several parts. So if you want to jump to a specific part, check the menu in the description box below. That should help you jump to whatever part you want to jump to. So this is part one. In part one, we are going to create a VM. And the reason why we're going to create this VM, this is the VM that we're going to use to host our Metasploitable image. Now, granted, when we create the VM, we're not going to attach any image to it, and it doesn't have to be a beefy VM. It has to be something, it can be something very small in terms of space. It can be something very small in terms of RAM, and in terms of CPU as well, it can be something very simple. So let's go ahead and create that VM, and we're going to attach the Metasploitable image to that VM at the end of this video. So let's go ahead and do step one, which is creating the VM. So to create the VM, log into your Metasploitable account. Log into your Proxmox hypervisor, and then what you want to do, you want to click on create a VM here. This little guy right here. So let's click on that. You're going to have this box. And here you can put whatever number you want. Now you can leave this number as default. Proxmox tends to kind of number the VM according to the section here. So if there's 3 here, the next one will be 4. So I'm going to make this 12. And then we can call this whatever we want to call it. In this case, we're going to call it Metasploitable. Right? And we are going to go ahead and click next. You don't have to change anything here. We're going to go ahead and click next. OS, as I said earlier, we're not going to attach any image to this VM. Reason being that we are going to attach the Metasploitable image that we're going to download. Don't worry about that now. We're going to do that later on in the video. So we're going to go ahead and say do not use any media. We're going to go ahead and click next. System, you can leave that as default. You can make changes here if you want, but you don't need to. Leave that as default and click next. Hard drive, you can change this to IDE. You don't necessarily need to change anything else. You don't have to add more space. As I said, this VM doesn't have to be something beefy. It can be something very simple, and you don't have to make it something with huge space. So go ahead and click next there. CPU, again, we don't need to add anything here. If you want to, you can, but we don't need to. It's a very simple VM. Click next. Memory, we don't have to add anything. Leave it as default. Click next. Network, here this is a little bit important. So with Metasploitable, as I said earlier, is an intentionally vulnerable VM. So ideally, when you're not using it, you can turn it off, or you can also segregate it in your network. So here you can say, hey, don't have any network, no network device. So don't attach any network device to this device. Don't attach any network device to this VM. So the VM will not be online when you turn it on. You can do something like, hey, put it on a VLAN or something of that regards as well. So you can make changes to your network here for the network of this VM here if you want to. That's pretty much it. You're going to go ahead and click next. And to confirm, it's going to tell you everything that you've done here. Once that's done, you're going to go ahead and click finish. So in a couple of seconds, we're going to see the VM here. So this is the VM that we just created. And that's pretty much all we need to do for step 1. Okay guys, so let's move on to step 2. In step 2, basically what we're going to do, we're going to create a folder in the images folder. So basically what that folder is going to do is that folder is going to contain all of our Metasploitable file, or our Metasploitable image that we're going to use for this VM to be bootable, right? So that's what that folder is going to contain. So it'll make a lot more sense once we create it. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and go to the top level here, and we're going to go into the shell, and I'm going to clear the screen here so you can clear things out a little bit. Just get rid of all of this guy right here. So you can press Control L, clear things out. So what we want to do now is that we want to cd into the image folder. So that will be cd/var tab /lib tab /vz tab and /images tab. So we want to go into this folder. Again, you're going to say cd var lib vz images, and then we want to click enter. Now we can clear that out again, so you can see now we're in that folder. So if we type ls, there's nothing in that folder right now. So what we want to do is we want to create a folder, and we want to name the folder the same name as the 112. So we're going to say mkdir 112. So the reason why I'm making it 112 is to help keep things organized. So if in the future I want to create some other folders in the image folder, I want to let this folder belong to this folder. And it will make sense too, because you're going to see when we edit the configuration file, we're going to point it to this folder, and it just makes sense for it to say 112. So we just have that unity between everything. We don't go changing things and call it something different. So we're going to go ahead and click enter. So we just created that folder in there. So if we type ls, we can see that we just created that folder. So for this step, basically we just cd into the images folder, and we created a 112 folder in that folder. So let's go ahead and cd into that 112 folder. So it's going to be cd 111 tab, and then we're going to click enter. So now we're in that folder. So let me do clear from here, and now you can see that we're in the var folder. We're in the 112, the 112 folder here. So I'm going to do ls. There's nothing in that folder. Let's move on to step 3. In step 3, basically what we're going to do here is we're going to download the Metasploitable folder. So this is the folder, and we're going to download it from SourceForge. We're going to download the Metasploitable folder, and this is the folder that contains all of the Metasploitable image, and that's one of the image that we're going to convert. Don't worry about that yet. We're going to talk about that later in the video to be able to boot it in Proxmox. So it's going to contain all of that, all of the images, and one of those images, the image that we're going to convert to be able to boot that image in Proxmox. So let's go ahead and download that. Now, if you want to go to this website directly, I will provide the link below in the description. Also, it's on my website as well, so you can check it out and play around with it and read more about it if you want to. So we're going to go ahead and say wget. We're using wget to download it, to grab it from the web source. Wget, and it's a long link, so I'm just going to paste that here. I don't have to type the whole thing. So that's the link, and we're going to download the zip folder that contain all of the Metasploitable images on it. So we're going to click enter. So as you can see, it's downloading, and it's going to take some time to download. So while it's downloading, let's recap what we've done. Let's recap some of the things that we've done so far. Step 1, we created a VM that doesn't have any image attached to it. Step 2, we went into the image folder, which is this guy right here, and we created another folder called 112, which kind of matches this number right here. And then we cd into that folder, and we're grabbing the Metasploitable folder from this website right here. So let's go ahead and let that download, and we're going to move along to step 4. So let's move on to step 4. So in step 3, we downloaded the zip folder, the Metasploitable zip folder. So if we do ls, we're going to notice that the folder is now inside of the 102 folder, because that's where we did the wget, and it kind of just drop it into this folder. But this is a zip folder. So what that means is that we cannot cd into this folder because it's a zip folder. Because if we try to cd into it, it will say, hey, I can't cd into it. It's a zip folder. So what we want to do is we want to unzip this folder. Now to do that, you're going to need to make sure that the unzip package is installed on Proxmox, and if it's not, you're going to need to install it. So let's go ahead and say unzip. Right, if it's installed, you should see all of the switches that you can use. In my case, it is installed because I've already installed it. But if it's not installed, let me clear this out. If it's not installed, you're going to have to do app install unzip, right? And then you're gonna have to click enter. And in my case, it's already installed, so it's not gonna reinstall it. But in your case, if it's not installed, it's gonna go ahead and install it for you. And you're gonna need to make sure it's installed for you to be able to unzip this folder. So we're gonna go ahead and say, let's clear it out. And let's do ls one more time. We have the folder we just downloaded and we want to unzip it. So we're going to say unzip, and then we're going to click M, and we're going to click tab to autocomplete, and then it's going to grab that folder, and that's the folder we want to unzip. You're just going to go ahead and click enter, and it's going to unzip that folder, and it's going to unzip all of the content inside of a folder that it creates for that particular folder that we just unzipped. So let's just let it finish, and then we're going to cd into that. Okay. So we're going to give it some time. So these are all the things that were unzipped. So let's go ahead and take a look at it. So let's clear the screen here. Let's do ls. Now we should have two folders in there. You can see we now have two folders in there. This is the unzip folder, and this is the original zip folder itself, the one that we unzipped to this one. So we want to cd into this folder and see what's inside of it. So we're going to do cd, and then we're going to type capital M and then tab. So it's going to say Metasploitable, and we're going to click enter. Capital M, as you notice, this is capital M, and this is the one that we're just sitting into. So now let me clear the screen. You're going to notice that we are inside of that folder. So we are inside of the Metasploitable folder, the one that we just unzipped. So if we do ls, we're going to see all of the files in that Metasploitable folder. So these are all of the different Metasploitable image. And the one that we're looking for is this guy right here. Step 5, which is where we are right now. So let me go ahead and copy something here. So in step 5, basically what we're going to do is we are going to convert this image. So this image that you see right here, we're going to convert it to a format that is understandable to Proxmox. So we're going to convert it to a format that Proxmox can understand, and then we're going to make a change to the configuration file and tell this the configuration file for this VM to say, hey, boot from this device. But step 5, we're going to convert this VM. So let's go ahead and do that. So to do that, first let's clear the screen, ls one more time. I'm going to paste in a command. This is a pretty long command, so I'm not going to type it. I am going to include it in my website. I am also going to include it in the description box here, so make sure you check it out. So we're going to go ahead and paste that command in, right? So this command, we're just going to go all the way here and get rid of that tab in front of that. We don't need that. So basically what we're doing with this command is that we're telling it to convert, right, the VMDK file format here, which is this guy right here. We're converting it to qemu-2, and we naming it pretty much the same thing, Metasploitable, and the only difference is there's a qemu-2 at the end of it. And the reason why we're doing that is because qemu-2 is the file format that Proxmox understands. So we're going to convert it, and we're going to use that to add to the configuration file. So once you enter this command here, this is the command. Once you enter that, you just need to press enter. It's going to do its thing. It's going to convert it. It takes some time. So once the conversion is done, you can just say ls. And now you notice that we have this file in here. So we have this file. We've convert this guy, and we've converted to this guy. And this is what we need. This is where we're going to point this guy to boot to. So let's go ahead and move on to step 6. Okay, so now we're in step 6. So for step 6, basically what we want to do is we want to move this file here. We want to move it to this guy right here, the folder that we created, because when we edit, which is the next step, step 7, when we edit the configuration file for 112, for the 112 VM here, the Metasploitable VM here, we're going to point it to this folder, and it's going to be looking for this file. So we want to move this file, which is right now, let me clear the screen one more time. So as you notice, we're in the Metasploitable folder that we unzipped. So if we were to say ls, it's in this folder now. We want to move it to the 112 folder. So basically we're going to say mv, we're going to say meta, and then click tab, kind of misspoke there. Click tab, and then you want to click Q and then tabs to autocomplete, and we're going to move it one folder up. So it's dash and / there. So we're telling it to move this folder, this file, we're telling it to move it to one folder up, which is this folder here. So you're going to go ahead and click enter. It's going to do its thing. If you were to click ls, type ls now, you will not see that file in there anymore. But let's go ahead and go one folder back. So cd ls, you can see that we now have that file in this folder. So we're in this folder now, and you can see that we have that file in there, and that's where we want it to be. So you can go ahead and delete this if you want to, just to clean things up. I'm not going to go ahead and do that, or whatever other file you have in there, you can go ahead and delete it, because basically all you need is this guy right here. Okay, guys, so this is step 7. Step 7 is the most important part, because basically what we're doing here is we're going to edit the configuration file for the VM that we initially created, the 112. Metasploitable VM, and we're going to tell it, say, hey, listen, we want you to look into this folder, look for this file, and use this file as the bootable media for this VM. So all of the work that we've done is basically to get to this point to tell it that, hey, when we boot up this VM, use this as the bootable media. And that's what we're going to do here. We're going to edit the configuration file for this guy, and we're going to tell it to boot into use this as the bootable media for this VM. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to use Nano. Now you can use Vim if Vim is much more comfortable with you. If you're Vim is much more comfortable with you. If you're much more comfortable with Vim, you're welcome to use Vim or other, Linux, I don't know, text editor if you want to use that, but I'm going to use Nano here because it's straightforward and it's easy to edit things in Nano. So let's go ahead and do that. So we're going to say Nano, N-A-N-O, we're going to do /etc tab, and in the etc is the PVE tab, and in the qemu server tab. And one of the things that I want you to keep in mind is the different VMs that we have here. Each VM has a configuration file, so we're looking for 112, right? So we're going to do 112, and then we're going to do tab. Ideally you should autocomplete. So there you go. So now this is what we're looking for. We want to edit the configuration file for this VM, right? And this is what we're keeping everything. When we created that directory, this directory, we made it 112. So it's just kind of, it matches, and everything is kind of in sync, right? We don't want to create like a folder that's called 113, and 113 is not the VM number. So you're going to go ahead and click enter, and it's going to take us to the configuration file. So this is the configuration file for this VM. So this is basically what tells it to say, hey, when you booting up, boot from the local local folder, local drive, local folder, and then look for this particular disk and look for this image. In our case, we did not tell it to look for any sort of bootable media. So what we want to do, you're not going to edit anything here. You don't need to edit anything here at all. And again, there's a documentation on my website. So if you want to see, and I'm going to include that in the link. I'm going to include that in the description as well. If you want to see what you need to edit, all you basically need to edit is this guy right here. Right, this is the only thing that you need to edit here. So we're going to go ahead and go to that line, and we're going to go ahead and erase from here, leave the comma. From there, we're going to pretty much erase everything here, right? And then we're going to tell it file equals local colon, and then we're going to say 106. In this case, 112, which is the folder, right? So remember the folder that we created, we're telling it, hey, look at the local storage, look for folder 112. And after that, you want to look for the file. So remember, when I copy that, I'm just going to paste that in here. You want to look for Metasploitable, the Metasploitable image here, which is the qcow2 image. So basically, we're telling it, go to the file. For the file is equals to, the file is in the local storage. It's in the folder 112. It's called Metasploitable qcow2. So that's what I want you to use as the bootable image for this VM. So basically that's what we're telling it here. And that's the only thing you need to change in the configuration file, just pointing it to that VM. I know I sound like a broken record, but this part is very important, because if you do not point it, you misspell anything here or anything is wrong here, the VM will not boot, and you start scratching your head like, oh my God, what am I doing wrong? So the only thing you need to change is the section. Now if you're doing it differently and you choose something different, you might have to play around with it, but just keep in mind that you just want to tell it to say boot to this folder and look for this file. So we're going to go ahead and press Ctrl X, right? And it's going to ask us if we want to save this change. You're going to say yes, enter. And that's pretty much it. So let's go back into that and then click enter one more time. We just want to make sure we have that correctly. So as we can see, it's pointing to that folder there. So now we're going to try to see if we can boot up this VM. So I'm going to go to a different one here. I'm going to go to this VM, and if we've done everything right, if we click start, right, the VM should start. So as you can see, the VM is starting here. It's loading up. All right, let's give it a couple of seconds. If everything has been done correctly, it should start up and it should say Metasploitable. It should start doing its thing. Looks good so far. It's loading. Everything is loading so far. And we should see something that says Metasploitable. And then that means that, whoop, whoop, we got Metasploitable on our Proxmox VM. And now we can go crazy. Yay, look at that. So now we have Metasploitable. We have Metasploitable installed here. And we can just, now we have a intentionally vulnerable machine on our lab environment, and we can run several tests like nmap and things like that against this VM. For the default username for the Metasploitable, you can just go to Google and type in default root password for Metasploitable, and Google is going to tell you it's msfadmin. The username is msfadmin, and then the password is msfadmin. So you can go ahead and type that in, say msfadmin, enter, msfadmin, enter, and now you're logged in. That's pretty much it. So I don't want to go into any detail anymore because this video is just intended to walk you through the process of how to install Metasploitable on your Proxmox VM, and we've done so gracefully, right? So again, the only thing that changed in this file is this guy right here. We're telling it to, hey, point it to look in the local, look for this folder, and in this folder look for this guy, and then use that as the bootable media for this guy. And that's what we did, and we're able to boot the Metasploitable VM, and we're able to get into the Metasploitable VM. So basically that's all you have to do to install Metasploitable on Proxmox. In the coming videos, I'm going to talk about how we're going to use that. Next video, for example, is going to be about kind of like the main commands that I'm learning for nmap, and we're going to use this Metasploitable device to kind of run some of those commands. So that's pretty much it for this video. A couple of things to note. One, as I said earlier, Metasploitable is an intentionally vulnerable VM, so make sure you treat it as such. Turn it off when it's not being used, segregate it on your network if needed. Second, Metasploitable 3 is already out. I'm still trying to figure out how to get that set up on Proxmox. Once I do, I will create a video about it. Again, thank you guys for watching. If you haven't done so already and you've enjoyed the video, make sure you hit the thumbs up button. If you like content like this, as I said, if you haven't seen my previous video, I'm going to kind of document my whole journey in IT. So if you like content like this, make sure you hit the subscribe button, turn on your notifications so you don't miss all of my videos that I post. As always, do not forget to stay geeking. I will see you guys on the next one. Peace.